Hello and welcome to another edition of News in Depth. I'm your host, Adam Lowenstein. On today's show, we'll visit the KLD Learning Center on Merritt Island. The small school is a branch of the KLD Youth Foundation, which was started in 2002 as an after-school program to give at-risk youths a place of solace and growth. Its success led to the opening of the school 4 years ago. We'll head to the northern part of the county, where George Stringfellow recently installed a wind turbine behind his Titusville home. The 30-foot-tall contraption is the first and only wind turbine connected to Florida Power and Light's electrical grid. Most of the time, Stringfellow's meter runs backward. Wouldn't that be cool? And his bills have been slashed by 75%. With the holidays upon us, we'll take a look at two stories of kindness and charity. First, the Cocoa Police Department and Walmart recently teamed to make Christmas a little more merry for underprivileged kids in the city. 17 children were selected to shop with a cop at the Cocoa Walmart Supercenter. You'll see how most of these children spent at least some of their funds on their families and not themselves. And we'll look at the 28th annual toy run that rumbled from Merritt Square Mall to Melbourne's Wickham Park Pavilion. An estimated 8,000 plus motorcyclists hauled more than $100,000 worth of toys to be dispensed at local charities. But first, let's explore one of Cocoa Beach's more interesting buildings, and one that has a secret. The landmark Glass Bank building on A1A opened in 1961 and flourished for years. But over the past decade, the building has suffered, battered by hurricanes and deteriorated by age. News in Depth co-producer Tim Walters takes a look at why this once bustling building is subject to tens of thousands of dollars in fines and why its majority owner is tied up in litigation. Oh yes, and we'll let you in on what the secret is with the building.
To look at the Glass Bank building here in Cocoa Beach, you'd never know that there's $1 million secret hiding atop the deteriorating landmark. But the windowless square you see on the roof is actually a penthouse owned by Frank Wolf, a retired attorney and former business owner. Hiding behind the concrete walls is a condo fit for a king, complete with a mountain relief fireplace, cornerless rooms, and a tranquil waterfall that leads visitors inside from a private elevator. But the rest of the building has been abandoned for nearly a decade, with windows boarded and fines piling up daily. So who's responsible for the building and fines? So far, Joseph Yosefan is the one targeted by the city of Cocoa Beach. Yosefan owns the first, second, and fifth floors, in addition to half of the fourth floor. The other half of the fourth floor is owned by Wolf, while Christiana Bank and Trust Company owns the third floor. Yosefan said he has tried to comply with the city, but after boarding up broken windows with plywood, he said the city came after him with other issues.
I said, why not? So there's other issues. There was a little stucco missing on the top, a little piece here, so you got to get that done. Now go bring another lift 60 feet. You know what I mean? Okay? So finally, when I do that, I asked them to give me a certificate of compliance. Oh, we can't do that. I said, what do you mean you can't do that? Well, we have some other issues. I said, what are the other issues? Finally, after wrestling with them, they gave me a certificate of compliance. Okay? Okay. And then the fine stopped at that point. Okay? However, they went and before the code enforcement and asked to put the lien against the building.
So what was the fine at that point?
$57,000.
So the battle rages on. Plans were initially made to fix up the building, but they never happened. And Yosefan said he could have lined up tenants, but he said he has been stymied by the city and government bureaucracy, including fines received for not using the right type of plywood to board up some of the broken windows, and for doing so without a permit.
When I had Space Cross Credit Union as a tenant with a 15-year lease, they went to get an occupational license, and the city would not issue an occupational license, even though it says you shall issue, because all it is a tax levy on a person. It has nothing to do with building department, zoning, occupational license. For a bank, where a bank was there since 1964. You need to put a fire alarm system. I said, well, how do I put a fire alarm in somebody's home? You get me in there. After pleading and begging with Mr. Wolf, I put it there.
But City Fire Marshal Mark Amaral said the building still can't be leased because of a lack of proper fire alarms and sprinkler systems, causing fines of $200 a day to continue to pile up. Yosefan points to other problems, ones caused by the Atlantic Nautilus gym that used to operate inside the building.
Look up. They took and expanded the floor where the gym is, okay, into the curtain wall, which is in violation of the condominium rules because you expanded into the common area.
Right.
And it's violation of every building code and engineering code because there's nothing to support it.
Right.
So they took this, which was a wall, drywall, and made it a load-bearing wall.
For now, Yosifan is held liable for the building's condition. Wolf said his residence is not part of the office condo association. He has his own water, electric connection, and his own elevator. But Yosifan has a lawsuit against Wolf saying he should pay condo fees. It will be quite some time before their problems are ironed out. But for now, the 50-year-old building will continue to look like a disaster on the outside while hiding an elaborate secret on the inside. For Florida Today, I'm Tim Walters.
It's pretty wild stuff. So now when you drive by the building, you can look up and think, I would have never guessed that was up there. From a historic Cocoa Beach landmark, we move to what could become a landmark in Titusville. George Stringfellow, a 70-year-old retired Air Force technical sergeant and an electrical engineer, installed a wind turbine and connected to Florida Power and Light's electrical grid in January. He won the turbine off eBay for just under $1,600, a price that's nothing compared to the savings Stringfellow has racked up over the past year. His bills are down more than 75%, and most of the time he is putting power back onto the grid. We talked to Stringfellow about his turbine and his other solar-friendly gadgets.
I was telling Roger over here that I saw this grid-tied wind generator on eBay. And he says, what's that? And I tried to explain it to him. He said, you ought to buy that thing. So I kept bidding on it, and eventually I bought it. And this is the first and only grid-tied wind turbine on FPL's system. It takes 7.5 mile-hour wind to start it, a 6.5 mile-hour wind to maintain it, and approximately 15 mile-hour wind. It will produce 750 watts per hour. It runs day and night. So as long as wind is running, I'm producing probably as much or more electricity than I'm using. The meter is running backwards, so it's going back in FPL's line, and they're giving me credit for it. See, this is last month's electric bill. I only used 361 kilowatts last month. They gave me credit of 267 kilowatts of renewable energy. I'm trying to save as much energy as possible, and I just like to work with my hands and see that I can accomplish things. And don't tell me something can't be done, because I'm going to do it. This is a homemade solar hot water heater. The glass and the frame is from a sliding glass door. Nothing but a door glass. That's a tinted door glass, all it is. My friend wanted a double pane tinted glass, and so he put in a whole new one. Well, nobody wants an old sliding glass door, so he gave it to me. I said, I'm going to make me a solar hot water heater, and that's what I did. And I just sat out here in the afternoons and sorted all this together. $100+ a month electrical savings in the electrical bill. I look at the fact, instead of putting my money in the bank and drawing 2% interest, I'm drawing basically 12% interest here, I feel like, because I'm not paying the FPL, the electrical bill. But I've got them backed up here in case I need them, see?
While wind power is a growing force in energy generation, there are certainly still issues out there. For example, FPL wants to put in several large wind turbines on Hutchinson Island near its St. Lucie nuclear power plant. But nearby residents and environmentalists are fighting it, saying the turbines would be noisy eyesores on land intended for wildlife habitat protection. Now to Merritt Island, where a group of students is getting the chance to succeed despite growing up under the toughest of circumstances. The KLD Learning Center students know hardship. One student's father was murdered by a relative. Other students battled substance abuse problems.